When you hear Thomas whistle, turn the page.
Every day,
Sir Topham Hatt
came to the station to catch his train. He always walked over to have a word with Thomas the Tank Engine. "Hello, Thomas," he said. "Remember to be patient. You can never be as strong and fast as Gordon, the big blue engine, but you can be a really useful engine. Don't let those freight cars tease you." There were lots of freight cars, and Thomas worked very hard pushing and pulling them into place.
There was also a small coach and two strange things his driver called cranes. "That's the breakdown train," he told Thomas.
The cranes are for lifting heavy things, like engines and coaches and freight cars. One day, Thomas was very busy in the yard. Suddenly, he heard an engine whistling. "Help! Help!" When he looked towards the line, he saw a goods train come rushing through, much too fast. Thomas could see that it was James, and James looked very frightened. He was screaming and whistling. His brake blocks were on fire. "They're pushing me! They're pushing me!" he panted. But the freight cars were laughing. They were having lots of fun with James. Poor James went faster and faster. He was still whistling and calling for help as he disappeared down the line. "I'd like to teach those freight cars a lesson," said Thomas. Then came the alarm. "James is off the line! Fetch the breakdown train!" quickly shouted one of the men. Thomas was coupled onto the breakdown train, and off they went. Thomas worked his hardest. "Hurry, hurry, hurry," he puffed. "Bother those freight cars and their tricks. I hope poor James isn't hurt," said Thomas as he hurried along. They found James at a bend in the line. He was in a field with a cow looking at him. James's driver and the fireman were feeling him all over to see if he was hurt. "Never mind, James," they said. "It wasn't your fault. It was those wooden brakes they gave you. We always said they were no good." Thomas pushed the breakdown train alongside James. Then he pulled the unhurt freight cars out of the way. "Oh dear, they groaned. "Serves you right, serves you right," puffed Thomas. He was hard at work, puffing backwards and forwards all afternoon. "This'll teach you a lesson, this'll teach you a lesson," he told the freight cars. They left the broken cars up, and then with two cranes they put James back on the rails. He tried to move, but he couldn't, so Thomas helped him back to the shed. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting anxiously for them. He smiled when he saw Thomas. "Well, Thomas," he said, "I've heard all about it, and I'm very pleased with you. You are a really useful engine. James shall have some proper brakes and a new coat of paint," he said. "And Thomas, you shall have a branch line all to yourself." "Oh, thank you, sir," said Thomas, feeling very proud. Now Thomas is as happy as can be. He has a branch line and two coaches called Annie and Clarabel. Annie can only take passengers, and Clarabel can take passengers' luggage and the conductor. They are both old and need new paint, but Thomas puffs proudly backwards and forwards with them all day. He is never lonely. His friends, Edward and Henry, stop quite often to tell him the news. Gordon, the biggest and proudest engine, is always in a hurry, but he never forgets to say poop, poop, and Thomas always whistles peep, peep in return.